And on the International Front, a United Nations Security Council meeting is set to take place as Israeli military bombs the home of political leader of the Palestinian militant group Hamas in a wave of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. Welcome to the news. And first in the bulletin. Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPET Ghana, has called on authorities to, as a matter of urgency, put concrete strategies in place to forestall these increases. Now, the Chamber explains the continuous increment in transport fares is harshly affecting the general cost of living within the country. A recent statement signed by the Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, has said the trend, if not checked, could likely continue. The statement further noted the country does not have seen in place any mitigating policies or programs in place to cushion the average Ghanaian from these international market price shocks, as the effect reflects directly on the pumps and on pockets. And in related development, private transport operators in the country have agreed to increase transport fares by 20%. This increment, they say, takes effect on Monday, May 17, 2021.
The development comes after a series of engagements among members comprising the Ghana Committed Drivers Association, International Drivers Road Transport Union, Truth Drivers Union, and the Concerned Drivers Association. A joint statement issued by the operator said the increment has been necessitated by different factors, including new taxes on fuel, the cost of vehicles spare parts, and charges levied by the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, the DVLA. According to a statement from the group issued on Sunday, May 16, 2021, a gallon of fuel, which used to be sold at the pump for 24 cedis 52 pesos, is now sold at 27 cedis 22 pesos. Also, prices of spare parts and the DVLA charges have shot up considerably, hence the increment in transport fares. While urging commuters to cooperate with them as the new fares take effect, the transport unions say although an agreement had been reached that transport fares would increase only twice each year, they have resolved to increase the fares anytime fuel prices, the cost of spare parts, and other operational costs rise in order for their businesses not to collapse. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, the GPRTU, which is the largest transport union body in the country, is not part of this decision. The union has for the past weeks been engaging the Ministry of Transport to agree on matters relating to the increment in fuel prices.
Any knowledge in fuel increment. He spoke at a press briefing here in Accra. Take a listen.
I don't know about transport price increases, but I know for a fact that there are three different components of transport price increases that are agreed at the National Council for Cooperative Transport Unions at the Ministry of Transport. And the last time we were briefed, my colleague and I at Cabinet, there were still ongoing discussions, so I don't know about tomorrow. But I know that in the public space, some different union is talking differently than the normal transport. When the government came into office, the fuel suppliers supplied the most expensive fuel for the generating sets that we had. That alone was a problem. Those that even had dual fuel, I mean, that could use gas and other forms of liquid fuels. There was no gas most of the time. The only gas that was available was N-gas for VRA generating sets. So those were very expensive fuels. And so government had to take certain decisions in ensuring that most or all the generators use gas. And I can say on authority that as we speak, the only generator that is using something else than gas is probably AXA, using HFO. So all the generators are now using gas. Gas is far, far, far cheap, even though our gas is expensive. If we're still using LCO, HFO, RFO, and diesel, we would have been having energy bills that we could not even dream of our grandchildren paying.
So let's now get onto the phone lines and speak to Charles Danso. He is the chairman of the Ghana Commuter Drivers Association here to tell us more as to what exactly the plan for them to have an increment really. So good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
Great. So we want to ask you which specific transport operators will see the increment.
Come again, my brother.
I want to find out which transport operators will see the increment.
You want to ask which
transport operators will see the increment?
If I can hear you right, it is Ghana Commuter Drivers Association and other transport organizations which has come together to increase our fares.
But then, so these are the groups who are going to actually have their fares increased.
Sorry?
Can you hear me, sir?
Hello?
Okay, so I still have on the line Charles Danso, who is the chairman of the Ghana Commuter Drivers Association. My producers are trying to work on the line so we can have a good conversation with him. We want to find out the increment of these transport fares. What is the plan? So, Charles, if you can hear me, I want to find out which transport operators are going to see their fares increased.
Which station?
Charles.
I can hear you from far.
You can hear me from far. Okay, we are trying to work on the lines and speak to you so we can actually seek answers. So we are still talking about the fact that some transport fares are going to see increment from tomorrow, May 17th, 2021, in connection with the increase in fuel prices. And so I've been joined on the line by Charles Danso, who is chairman of the Ghana Commuter Drivers Association. Let me now go back on the phone lines and attempt to speak to him and get some answers to these questions. Charles, if you can hear me again, I'm asking, so which transport operators are going to see increment in their fares?
This one. If they can change it and call me on my...
All right, we are going to try and call you back. Kindly be on standby for us. And so my producers will work on that. We want to find out the transport operators who are going to see increment. Also want to find out the stance of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, on this issue and other issues concerning if those who actually board the commercial transport, how prepared are they? And if they come across any new figures, what should they do? As tomorrow, the 17th of May 2020, is going to see the increment of all of this money. So let's still focus on other issues here on the news. And let's talk about COVID-19 and what matters arising. But before that, let's go for a very quick break. We'll be back with more stories here on Newsnight. Stay with us.
As a mother and wife, my priority is making sure my family is protected at all times. That is why I never forget to give my angel a Flora disposable handkerchief to keep germs and sweat at bay. When Habi is out in the fields, I'm rest assured of Flora coming in handy anytime he needs it. Even when my daughter Na is out late, I am confident Flora disposable handkerchief will be close enough to save the moment. Flora disposable handkerchiefs are my go-to disposable handkerchiefs any day, anytime, and everywhere. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is affordable and handy. Flora, better than cloth handkerchiefs, Flora is a product of Delta Paper Mill Limited. For inquiries and bulk purchases, call 0243 033 033.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
Welcome back. You're still watching Newsnight Live on Metro TV. So on the issue of COVID-19, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will be addressing the nation at exactly 8 p.m. here in Ghana, the 25th address in connection with COVID-19 and its protocols. Now, let's go back on the issue of the increment of transport fares and issues concerning fuel price as well. And we have been joined on the line by Duncan Amwa, who is Executive Secretary of COPEC. I want to find out more. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to your viewers.
Great. So we want to find out why the sudden increase barely after some 12% increase in fuel pumps.
Yes, you do have of factors that will give you your final fuel price and at the pumps. We break them down into three key components. You're looking at the ex-refinery core, which is the actual amount that the product sells for on the international market. And then you come to look at your taxes and levies, and then you also look at the margins, which is what operators use to sort of pay for the stations and the services and utilities at the stations and all of that. So the three key components, each time any of the components go up, you are likely to have an increase in fuel prices. For this instance, effective tomorrow, you have international market price, IMP, seeing quite an increase. For diesel that started the window at 520, you close the window at around $545 per metric. That's a variance of $25. Petrol also starts the window somewhere in the region of 630. You close in the window at 656 thereabouts. These variances, what they mean in real numbers, if you divide them by the standard 0.3, you are doing almost about 8 pesos every liter at the pumps. We've had quite a bit of interaction with players, both the oil marketing companies and the bulk distribution companies. The indication you get is that the BDCs are unable to absorb these increases that you are seeing on the international market, and so they are passing it to the OMCs. It is unlikely the OMC.
You made mention of some, I'm sure it's not some, you said some fuel pumps will increase their prices. Isn't it going to be all the fuel pumps, and why some?
Now, because you have a deregulated market, prices sometimes are not uniform. So you would find some of the smaller oil marketing companies looking to stay competitive by way of using price wars, also deciding that, okay, for 8, we probably are not going to be able to do all the 8. we will do about 6. And so you will find quite a variance. But like I indicated, for those operating at, let's say, 6.05 today, if you did add the 8 pesos increment that we are talking about today, you are likely to end up around 6.13, which was the figure you and I saw at the start of the taxes. You know, fuel moved from 5 cedi 45 to about 6 cedi 13, following which we petitioned the new energy minister to do something about it, for which he gave away 8 pesos. Unfortunately, world market prices have also brought back the same 8 pesos to be added to prices at the pumps. And barring any last-minute unforeseen circumstances, it is quite likely Ghanaians are going to go back paying the 6 cedi 13 that we saw at the start of the past window because of the taxes.
All right. So in your earlier submission, you made mention of ex-refinery coal, taxes, levies, including margins used by operators to determine these prices. What can we really do to curtail the rapid increase in fuel prices?
You do have a situation where the country has made adequate plans for times like these. Unfortunately, the institutions that you and I have had to invest in over the past couple of years seem to have failed us as we speak. You talk of a refinery that was set up in the 60s in anticipation of Ghana striking oil in commercial quantities. Today, Ghana is producing oil. Unfortunately, the local refinery that should have been processing oil and also delivering much more market efficient pricing is on its knees completely. Per what I do, I'm cut off by the sort of dire situation that the refinery finds itself. So the refinery is not able to add much onto the market product mix. And then you have a buffer, a strategic buffer that you and I have had to pay for since the early 2000s. Unfortunately, since BOST was set up to hold strategic buffer for you and I, such that when you wake up and times like these, international market prices have hit $600 and beyond per metric, BOST would have actually been expected to store products around 300, 400 when prices were lower. And at these times, flood the market. Unfortunately, BOST seem to have gone a lot more commercial now. And so what you find is a BOST that is more interested in exports and a BOST that is more interested in talking of profits and paying debts, as opposed to holding strategic stocks that it can also release to the BDECs in times like this. So the institutions we set up to help all of us maintain some stable fuel pricing, as I speak with you currently, are all not doing, exactly what you and I would expect, not doing well.
All right.
TOR is almost collapsed, and I would not be surprised if in the next few days, the workers are even told to go home. So we expect that some urgent action will be paid to these entities. And then again, you have a price stabilization and recovery levy, which is charged the driver, which is charged the Ghanaian consumer on every liter of fuel that you buy. That fund, we expect, would have been used as a buffer to cushion us when international market prices go up by giving to the importers the difference that we are seeing. I made mention of $25, $26 for both petrol and diesel. If we had that fund being used by the finance minister for other purposes, we should have enough money at this point to offset the increases we are seeing on the international market.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's nothing there as we speak, and these prices are taking a direct hit or effect on our home prices starting tomorrow.
All right, sir. Thank you for your time here with us on Newsnight. And so I have been speaking with Duncan Amwa, who is Executive Secretary of COPEC, as we expect an increment by noon tomorrow, as stated there, due to some factors he mentioned, including margins detected by operators. Now, away from that, onto other issues where the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has rebuked the Akufo-Addo-led government over recent incident of assault and attacks by the national security operatives in the country, citing the assault on City FM's Caleb Kuda, as well as attempt to forcibly remove Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator from office. The party says the development indicated a dangerous erosion of the country's democracy. There is more in the following report.
In a statement issued by the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedun-Ketia, on Sunday, the party said the recent event stemmed from how similar events were handled in the past. The genesis of these trends is not hard to identify: the needless evasion by state-sponsored vigilantes of the voting process during the Ayawaso by-election in January 2019, the virtual militarization of the registration of voters process last year, and the unprecedented violence that accompanied the election proper last December, culminating in the untimely death of 8 innocent Ghanaian citizens. It said, adding that the government has been emboldened to allow such incidents to occur due to the silence of Ghanaians on the past events. In the British assault of Mr. Caleb Kuda of CTFM and the harassment of his colleague Ms. Zoe Abubeidu-Addo, the Akufo-Addo government has now demonstrated clearly that it does not believe in a rule of law nor common human decency, as the continuing presence of Deputy Superintendent of Police Samuel Kojo Azugu in the national security apparatus and the British conduct of Lieutenant Colonel Ajiman fly totally in the face of the solemn recommendations of the Emil Short Commission of Inquiries. And as if these events are not enough, elements of that much-dreaded NPP vigilante group, the Delta Force, actually raided the office of the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator and handcuffed him, claiming that his term of office had come to an end, the party stated. The NDC said it will continue to challenge such development while urging President Akufo-Addo to respect the rights and welfare of citizens. We shall not sit unconcerned as a president launches from one scandal to the other. Ghana and Ghanaians deserve far better, it concluded.
The Minister of Energy, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, has rejected claims that the recent power outages, popularly known as Dumso, are as a result of financial difficulties. The minister insists that the current power interruption supply is as a result of government working to upgrade the infrastructure in power sector to ensure reliable power in the country.
The power outages that Ghanaians have suffered, though not pleasant, is in good faith in the sense that you do SCC, you do near YD. The problem is being fixed, and with patience and support, this government will truly deliver the works. Like I said, the Pokwasi bulk supply point would come on, the Kasua, the Kumasi 330, Kumasi Kintampo, the Achibota Malam ongoing. Probably by the end of the year, people will see a dramatically improved power system reliability in the country. These problems are not, and I repeat, are not due to financial challenges, because they are being fixed. They are being fixed, and there's a need. We plead with the people of Ghana to be supportive and expectant of their government and His Excellency the President to deliver on their behalf. That is not to say, even if we finish these big interventions, that is the end of the deal. We, last week and 3 weeks ago, last 2 weeks and about 3 weeks ago, together with the ECG MD and the Greco MD, we were in Ministry of Finance to ensure that the critical interventions yet more needed to be done to make the system even more better will get fully funded. Greco came up with 3 critical problems, all to do, I must say, with either improving bulk supply point or stringing 330 kilowatt kV lines. Their first item that they proved to be very, very critical was to increase their capital expenditure or find money to the tune of about $326 million to improve certain further lines on the Western Corridor. Critical or priority two was construction of more bulk supply points in Takoradi, Kumasi, to ensure that the system is more reliable. That has been fully factored by the Siemens loan that Parliament has approved this year. So that
released by the East Primpack and Ghana Journalists Association GJA have taken note of the spate of brutalities being meted out to journalists such as those working with Love FM, WhatsApp News, and most recent case of one involving journalists working with CD FM and CD TV. The media is an indispensable partner in the development of the country as well as whatever is being done by the country. So let me quickly take what exactly it says in the second page, and it reads. It says, Geba, Primpack, and the GJA do not intend to prejudge the outcomes of any findings from any inquest to be instituted into the molestation of the City FM, City TV journalist by national security operatives. We believe in and support the work of investigative journalists in Ghana in highlighting matters of public interest. We draw attention to the impunity with which security personnel in Ghana attack media and practitioners in the course of exercising their legitimate duties, and condemn in no uncertain terms. Let me quickly take you to the last paragraph and what it says. And yes, so you have it on your screens and what is actually saying concerning what has been stated by the GJA together with other bodies. The last paragraph says, the findings and recommendations from the Committee of Inquiry set up by the Ministry of National Security and the Complaints Settlement Committee of the National Media Commission should be implemented with utmost urgency to give meaning to our maxim as a land of freedom and justice. Thank you for your kind attention. May God help our nation, Ghana, and make us great and strong. Signed by Andrew Manso and Inkra, Geba President, Andrew Edwin Arthur, Primpack President, and Arthur XY, Athel Money, who is also outgoing GJ President, also signed this particular release there, a joint release by these three outfits. Away from that, let's focus on other issues as education in Kumau Bodomase is under threat. This is because students are forced to study in dilapidated structures and in churches due to the failure on the part of the district authorities to provide a decent place for learning. My colleague Shedrack Odami Ejare visited the community and filed this report.
Schools in Kumau Bodomase are still studying in wooden structures, while others study in churches and under trees. But Chief of Bodomase, Berima Atachenbua, expresses concerns about the poor condition of the school.
Ministry of Education or Ghana Education Services, said, what is school now by the na ye share baby school no students on bedida a dormitory, administrative block. And then dining hall no munina dear. O man one and doing one him. I see Yenia da classrooms. And Sana GNPC ABC Womo dance with their account. In the dormitory. Students in bed.
A facelift from the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation still lacks some basic facilities like a library, administration block, science lab, and a toilet facility. James Appiah is the headmaster. He explains how difficult learning and teaching has been after rainstorms ripped off some roofs and demolished some classrooms.
Our challenges were deepened and it became so critical when on 6th March this year, 2021, heavy rainstorm hit the school. We have temporary places that are being used as administration block, staff common room we don't have, but we are still managing. We are getting temporary places to serve those purposes.
The Bodumase Presbyterian Church. On a normal day, once I mention church, you would think we are here for fellowship. But it's rather unfortunate this church is simultaneously serving as a classroom for the Bodumase Presbyterian JHS. Believe it or not, this is where students meet their teachers so they can be able to make up for their final examinations. Let's get in. The sitting place for the choristers have been converted to accommodate the final year student of the Bodumase Presby JHS. Students expressed their dissatisfaction about their current state.
Me, I don't feel well, and my colleagues are not feel well. We need marker board, lack of classroom block, lack of computer lab, some of the furnitures, like classroom chairs and
so we give you more of that story filed by my colleague Shadrach Odamia Jari in a subsequent news bulletins. Away from that, protracted chieftaincy dispute continuing to affect development in Western region. These growing disputes often emanating from disagreement on entitlement to stools has set communities apart and created division among the Western Regional House of Chiefs. In the face of this, the regional minister Kwabena Ochirida Mensa, together with two other ministers of state, have decided to engage some traditional rulers to give room for unity in the region.
Chieftaincy is an important institution in this country, recognized by the Constitution. Unfortunately, the traditional factors determining the qualification for one to ascend the throne has often created problems for communities, therefore sowing seeds of discord. President of the Western Nzima Traditional Council revealed some mind-boggling statistics on chieftaincy cases currently pending in the Western Regional House of Chiefs.
Currently, there are about 61 cases pending before the House. It is made up of 42 petitions and 19 appeals. 22 fall under the Western North. I think you are all aware that the Western region now has been divided into two. So we have Western region and Western North. Therefore, when we transfer the Western North region cases to the Western North, we are left with 39 cases made up of 21 petitions and 18 appeals.
Responding to the alarming statistics, Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ebenezer Kojokum, advised traditional rulers to do away with dispute and allow peace and stability to prevail in the region.
The Minister for Energy and myself planned this meeting some time ago, and I'm happy that today we've had a fair representation of all the chiefs so that we can talk about the energy issues and how best the region can benefit from the energy resources of our country. No one benefits from dispute apart from lawyers. As the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, I want to give you my commitment that whatever it takes for us to ensure that the over 42 disputes that are currently in this region are resolved during my time, we will do that. And I'm sure I'll have the cooperation of Parliament to do that.
The Minister for Energy, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, agreed with the Chieftaincy Minister that raging disputes in the Western Regional House of Chiefs will continue to retard development in the region if not halted immediately.
Now, if you also teacher, you put to me my whole year. Western Regional House of Chiefs. You hear more and son, I buy you say a bay already, and I ye. Nemo Sabato be Nantichebu Basaya. Sakagana Assassin will see ya. Anka Fourth Republican Constitution change ya by 3 times. If you say politicians not here say, Otu Abana Luzua no movie. Okotefi na ye with me out here day. Uti Saba. Tell the medical trouble. Some young Korean Kabo Pay.
The 3 ministers of state assured the House of Chiefs of Government's commitment to support the region with development projects.
You are still watching News Night live on Metro TV. A quick turn, we'll be back with more stories and business news will be next.
And my opportunity way and sound hoda. High sense fridge na F4 chair papa and chip power and one on the low. High sense pen and amount 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. So high sense fridge papa never pro niema. Kai say 18th May I got him 8th June. High sense fridge promo. High sense everyday prices for everyday people.
Welcome back. Coming up next is business news. And first in business, the Minister of Energy, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has revealed that government has since 2019 saved the country a total amount of close to $1.5 billion for the deferment of 3 power purchase agreements. This result, according to the minister, is in line with government's approved energy sector recovery program. The minister was speaking at the press briefing to update the country on what government have been doing in the past 4 years in the energy sector.
The second thing that we did was to look at all the PPAs that have been signed on take-or-pay basis. And some had already been deployed, Car Power Ship, Senate, Ameri, some had been deployed. But the government decided that we had enough generating sets. And so there was no need to deploy more generating sets at that time. So we deferred 3 notable generating sets. We deferred Rotan Energy. We deferred 3 different types. And it saved Ghana, those 3 generating sets that we deferred, saved Ghana as much as $1.24 billion. Meaning, if those 4 or 3 generators had deployed at the time, wanted to commercial being in 2019, we would have seen an increase, or Ghana would have paid up because it was take and pay. Ghana would have paid up as much as $1.426 billion. We deferred early power from deploying in 2019. We deferred Jacobson power from deploying in 2019, and we deferred Rotan from deploying in 2019. Each of the three, would have cost us $475.5 million if they are deployed. So just by deferring deployment, we saved an excess or nearly $1.5 billion. That is about money good enough to have built 62 stadia of the type of Tamale Sports Stadium. Tamale Sports Stadium cost about $23 million. And the savings by deferment, not cancellation, saved the country a payment of $1.425 billion. So some of those initial decisions started paying off, and it has paid off to now.
And that's it for business. Up next, sports with Phil John Corte. He's standing by with the latest. Who is winning and who's losing? Johnny?
Hi.
So who is losing and who is winning?
So much to talk about. We'll focus on the Ghana Premier League before we go to London and focus on the EPL. Up next, your sports. Well, my name is Phil John Okwate, and this is the sports segment of the news. Let's focus on the Ghana Premier League currently playing at Accra Sports. And the Phobians are drawing goalless with AMANING. But these are some of the results on your screen. Soga Copy, it ended actually. Oh, Soga Copy, that's what the results we are getting. Yes, Wafa, that's West African Football Academy. On Friday, beat Legon City by a goal to nil. On Saturday, Ashgold were too much for the boys. They beat them by a goal to nil. King Faisal managed to boost their chances of maintaining yourself in the Ghana Premier League when they beat Bechem by 3-1. Liberty Professionals and Kotoko settled at the Soga Copy Park that 1-1, and Karela quite strong. And Zimaland, they beat 11 Wonders by 2-0. We could go to the other fixture. There you have it. Adriana Stars, they were at Doma and they beat Mediama from Takwa by 2-0. Interhala is trying to survive if they can, by the way. They beat Bechem. That's not Bechem. That should be Brekum Chelsea by 5-0. Like I told you, the Phobians are currently drawing goalless at Accra Sports Stadium with a gentleman from the Central, that's AMANING. On Monday, another Central Region team, that is the Busuan Drabs, who play Dream City and see whether they can beat them. So there you have the first years, week 25 of the Ghana Premier League. Let's now focus on the EPL. That is the English Premiership. Brazilian international Alisson Becker needed a stoppage time to ensure that Liverpool pick all 3 points against West Bromwich.
Nobody does it better. At UCS Facility Management, we give you the best in janitorial services, which include high-rise window cleaning, office cleaning, post-construction cleaning, facade washing, deep cleaning, carpet cleaning, swimming pool cleaning, and event janitorial services. Locate us at Jowolu, JA Plant Pool premises, or call us on 0501 666 322 or 0203 299 212 or 0203 299 234. UCS, your property is under our care.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. And up next is entertainment news with Desmond Okreko. Desmond.
Well, right, in entertainment this evening, you have Sam George, the MP, asking Ghanaian musicians to make sure that they improve on their lyrics and invest in their career. And then we get as well into the state where actor Tom Cruise has returned all his 3 Golden Globe Awards. The details coming up soon. All right, so Ghanaian MP Sam George has advised Ghanaian musicians to make sure that they improve on their lyrics in order to get the international attention. And he said this in an exclusive interview with Metro News.
So be sensible music. It must also be music that has content. You know me, I mean, I celebrate Shatta, I celebrate Stone Boy. If you do a song and it's all freedom, Shatta. I mean, but that is why when he had support from Xylophone, you saw what he did with Gringo. Compare Gringo to freedom. And tell me if you don't see the value of money in a production. So the same artist. And when Shatta did not understand the business yet, and did not see what the need for packaging was, and he was bandana, you saw how he got murdered by Samini. But when he re-evaluated himself and understood the business and branded himself and came back, today he's king. It's the same thing with Stone. Look, and even in the gospel music scene, people do not forget that Joe Mettle, who is arguably one of the biggest gospel musicians, if not the biggest male gospel artist in Ghana today, was part of what? Was it Soul Winners also? Yes. Today we're Soul Winners. But where's Joe Mettle? It's about branding.
All right, so that is Sam George there advising Ghanaian musicians to improve their lyrics. Let's move elsewhere. And actor Tom Cruise has returned all his 3 Golden Globe Awards. And this is because of the situation happening with the HFPA with some discriminatory issues in there.
Dashing actor Tom Cruise has given back his 3 Golden Globe trophies as he becomes the latest A-list star to protest against HFPA's lack of diversity comment. The HFPA consists of about 90 members
All right, thank you, Desmond, for all
that news there. Hopefully, our Ghanaian musicians will have better lyrics as requested by Sam George. Coming up next is news on international front. First, on the international front, the Israeli military says it has bombed the home of the political leader of the Palestinian militant group Hamas in a wave of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. It released video of an exploding bomb, which it said had hit the home of Yahya Sinwar, the group's overall leader in the territory. Israeli airstrikes in Gaza killed at least 33 people early on Sunday, officials there said. Militants fired rockets at Israel with a new barrage on Sunday afternoon. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue to respond forcefully to rocket attacks. Israel has recorded nearly 3,000 rocket launches from Gaza since Monday. And so let's cross over to the Flagstaff, where the President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, is addressing the nation on his 25th address concerning COVID-19. That's it for the news. I am Bryce Nana Kwesi Amanin. Have a good evening.
Fellow Ghanaians, good evening. I thank you for welcoming me into your homes once again on a matter we have all sadly become familiar with, COVID-19. It has been 11 weeks since to continue complying with the health and safety protocols. And May Day to apprise you of some major COVID-related developments and of the need for all of us to continue complying with the health and safety protocols. Embarking on a 9-day official working visit to France, Belgium, and South Africa, as part of efforts being made to ensure our nation's rapid and sustained post-COVID economic recovery, and have pre-recorded this update prior to leaving the country. I must at the outset express the gratitude of the nation to the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharabutu, and all Muslims across the country for adhering to the request to have a subdued Eid al-Fitr celebration, devoid of large public gatherings. By and large, it is gratifying to note that many Ghanaians are adhering to the protocols, and it is heartening to see law enforcement agencies acting against persons and institutions flouting the regulations. Until we vaccinate the requisite number of Ghanaians and enhance herd immunity, which will help return our lives to normalcy, as of 26 February, to 1,314 as at 11th May. Our rate of infection has dropped significantly from 400 a day when I last spoke to you to less than 100 now. And the number of persons who have recovered from the virus has also increased from 77,972 to 91,146 within the same period. 176 more persons in that time have also unfortunately lost their lives to COVID-19. Cumulatively, we've conducted 1,121,168 COVID tests. This development brings me to the second reason for tonight's broadcast, one which is crucial in restoring normalcy to our lives. Since I announced the arrival of the first batch of AstraZeneca vaccines from the COVAX facility, together with the procurement and receipt of others, we have rolled out 2 phases of our vaccination plan. The first phase involved vaccinating a segment of the population in 43 districts, that is, health workers, persons with comorbidities, persons above the age of 60, physically challenged persons, journalists, frontline security personnel, and a cross-section of persons in the 3 arms of government. The second phase involved vaccinating all other health workers across the country. Nearly 1 million people have now received the first dose of the vaccine. International vaccine politics and the unpredictability of the supply chain, as well as the third wave of infections in some countries in Europe and Asia, have meant that we have not been able to secure as many vaccines and vaccinated as many Ghanaians as we would have wanted at this stage. In spite of these obstacles, the target is to vaccinate some 20 million Ghanaians, i.e. the entire adult population of Ghana, by the end of the year. In the past few days, government has, through COVAX, received an additional 350,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines. These will be added to existing stock to provide the second jab for the 360,000 persons in the 43 districts in the Greater Accra, Ashanti, and Central regions who received their first jabs from 1st to 9th March. I'm happy to announce that beginning Wednesday the 19th of May to Wednesday 26th May, the deployment of the second dose of vaccines will take place across the designated vaccination centers in the 43 districts, approximately 12 weeks after the first jab, as the science prescribes. More details of the deployment will be communicated by the Ghana Health Service in the coming week. Efforts are being made to ensure that those who receive their first jabs after the 9th of March will in due course receive their second. We are expecting an additional 300,000 doses of Sputnik V vaccines, which have already been approved by the Food and Drugs Authority to arrive in the country. As and when we make further progress in the acquisition of vaccines, the Ministries of Health and Information will make this known to you. We're making all efforts to achieve our overall vaccination target. As alluded to earlier, we are all aware of the havoc the virus is wreaking in Asia and South America, in the form of rising infections and huge death tolls. Whilst our thoughts and prayers are with these countries, we must be mindful of the associated risks of travel to and from these countries. At this time, I want to reiterate, as captured in the travel directive jointly issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration and the Ghana Health Service, that all non-essential trips to countries with high COVID-19 infection rates should either be cancelled or postponed. There will be plenty of time, God willing, for such trips in the future. We will continue to review our travel restriction measures. Fellow Ghanaians, a major objective of our fight against the virus, right from the onset, has been to limit its importation onto our shores. Consequently, when we reopened Kotoka International Airport, KIA, our aim was to ensure that as much as possible, arriving passengers do not carry the virus, and to establish a testing regime at KIA to help us pick up passengers who have the virus and prevent them from introducing it into our population. KIA, some 3 weeks ago, recorded significant increases in the numbers of passengers who tested positive for COVID-19. This was identified as in part being due to the countries of embarkation experiencing a third wave of the virus, and also challenges in attesting to the authenticity of COVID-19 PCR certification being presented at airports around the world. Since then, the increase in positive tests from passengers arriving at KIA has declined considerably. Nevertheless, it's still necessary for us in Ghana to find a way to secure further our borders and attain our objective of limiting the importation of the virus. To prevent fake COVID-19 PCR certificates being used to enter our country, government through the Ministry of Health has begun the process of digitizing PCR test results to ensure ease of verification. The technology platform being used at KIA is based on standards set by the Africa Trust Travel and ECOWAS Biomars. All passengers traveling in Ghana must have test results or certificates bearing the trusted travel or biomass codes to be acceptable at KIA. We have reevaluated quality checks on testing at KIA, and we're satisfied with the sensitivity and specificity of the testing regime there. All arriving passengers who test positive will follow the laid-down procedure. Those who test negative from designated COVID-19 hotspots are day-to-day activities. We see the rewards for our compliance with the protocols whenever we witness favorable scenarios in our fight against the virus, evidenced in the easing of some of the restrictions. I'm particularly happy that the significant investments we have made in ensuring compliance with the safety protocols have enabled us to open in safety all schools, private and public, at all levels. And I want to thank parents, teachers, and students for making them work. We have also put in place the necessary protocols that have allowed us to return to churches, mosques, workplaces, markets, stadia, and to travel. Our ability, however, to congregate in closed spaces like cinemas, theaters, and nightclubs remains restricted. In a move towards the reopening of cinemas and theaters, government has engaged cinema owners and operators on a set of protocols and guidelines that need to be put in place and implemented by all operators before eventual reopening. In the coming weeks, the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Tourism Authority will be announcing these protocols and mandatory modalities and work with the operators on a set of directives that will ensure the health and safety of all patrons and staff in all the facilities involved. Fellow Ghanaians, I remain optimistic that we can return our lives to normal if we cooperate and work together. Let the reduced rate of infections not lull us into a false sense of security. Let us continue to adhere to the safety protocols, that is, the enhanced hygiene and mask-wearing protocols. Let us take the vaccine when it gets to our turn, and let us continue to put our faith in Almighty God. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Our goal of 0 active cases is in sight if we remain vigilant and steadfast. Enuanom, efiri na awotwe ayebe. One year awo panie no, bese awo ni etoso mienu. Aban eboabo adrona no bebre ama Ghana fo nyina. Mesramo seni amaka dada. Moni bia eni panie no. Enti se edro so a kola ko wo panie no. no ne beboa ama yetumi apam yare ifri yemamu anyami me keja uchi na ni ba ne many egbo corona chofa basa agbo ikun amlalo eboa chofa pi na agana mambi fe no ewo kesho no ya ni o agbo chofa no ni ba wawo ni wo hwe hela keje wo manemi. May God bless us all in our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention. Good night, and God bless you all.
Welcome back. This is Talking Points. Tonight's topic is national unity and cohesion.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
On the topic tonight, which is again national unity and cohesion, but just before we get back in, you did hear the president's remarks. The only thing that really stuck to me